I'd like to welcome everyone to this poetry reading. We are here to celebrate poetry and the written word, and we're going to do a feature on the art of Anna Miller. And I'm going to bring Anna Miller up to the microphone to talk a little bit about how she got involved with the Ancient City Poets, but her artwork is available during a exhibition at the county building here in Saint Augustine in the Rotunda. It's an Art in Public Spaces initiative. So that is a fantastic thing that St. Johns County is doing to expose people to art in public spaces. In different parts of the world, or different parts of the country, the Art in Public Spaces initiative could be a poem on a park bench. So when you're waiting for the bus, you see a poem engraved into a park bench. It could be attached to a sculpture. There are many fascinating concepts and ways to address the idea of art in public spaces. And so when you go to get your driver's license at the county building, when you go to do any sort of business there, you are exposed to art. And so the current exhibit that's up until March 15th, it involves Anna's artwork and poems written by the Ancient City Poets that address the themes in her work, whether it's coral reefs, light and dark, gardens, and so forth. So we're going to ask Anna Miller up to the Ancient City Poets microphone, and then each poet will share their words. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I'm short. So the idea of show came very suddenly. It's a discussion with friends, and we were pondering on how we can create a very interesting and more involved art project, not only the paintings, right? Because painting is fun, but we wanted to involve more artists, and I think collaboration is always a win-win situation for everybody, and we are uplifting each other in this situation. So initially we also wanted to get musicians to participate, but the first deadline was August 2019, and then what government gave us, they gave us January. So we simply didn't have enough time to plan, only 4 months, which still took very, very, very long time. The theme of my artwork is refractions, and refractions is a scientific term of light passing through an object and changing direction and creating a different instance of itself. So for me, this term is not only scientific, but also philosophical, kind of, because all of us, whatever happens in the world, art, poetry, sorry, don't throw stones at me, politics, philosophical tendency, psychological developments, the scientific developments, all of that what's happening is passing through an individual and changes slightly direction and creates its own entity through that individual. Another reason for it is that I'm slightly blind. Blind artist, right? Great. So I don't see very well, and I rarely wear spectacles because they're pain and I lose them all the time. So so I only use them while I drive or watch movies on a large screen or some kind of shows. So I don't see details, I don't see gardens, I don't see patterns, I don't see rivers. I don't see like leaves and flowers, and I don't see those things, and I don't need them any longer. I see patterns. I see patterns of light that twinkle and reflects and passes through me and becomes its own entities in my paintings. So why did I choose poetry? Because poetry to me, as a form of written word, is one of the forms that are more abstract than, for example, something with a very clear narrative like a novel or short story, etc., etc. So it's a little bit more abstract in the way it communicates to a viewer, you know, through metaphors and through unfinished sentences, etc., etc., etc. So I am super, super excited to collaborate with all of my poets. I had a great time. I'm meeting new friends. Win-win situation for everybody, and it's just a wonderful experience. Thank you very much.
So we're going to call up the poets one by one who are in the Anna Miller catalog. Is Sheree Kearns here? Okay, I'm gonna share her poem. It's called "Time in Time" by Sheree Kearns. Circle of time, swirling in murky whirlpools, hold despairing hopes and found memories, which are lost in summer storms and regained in calmness of spring breezes. Each circle falls into the next, continuously growing and shrinking, like the thoughts of youth and age that merge to become one entity. Each circle recalls the other, all running freely yet confined, like waves of eternity that churn the shadowy shores of the soul. Nothing embraces nothing. Emotions surround logic. They always return to an origin in time's circle. You can applaud. Also in the Garden series is my poem. So here's a Second Growing Season by Bodor. Outside double-pane windows and doors decorated with welcome mats, September reveals days of new growth. Saint Augustine's second season of growing, a knowing that soon snapdragons will smile, camellia buds will bloom, a garden will flourish in Indian summer, new plantings nourished during the sweltering heat of summer, our second growing season.
Hi, everyone. First, thank you to Anna and to Chris for this opportunity. Really happy to be here. So my poem is titled Community, and it is in response to Anna's Coral Reefs series. We're not plants, but animals. We breathe silently in harmony. We're brown, white, beige, violet, turquoise, red, ridged and holy. Some like antlers, stiff and pointed. Others trees, swayed and waving. Some like fans, full of flow and turning. Others brains, or combs, porous and gold. If we've grown shells, still we're warmed by the sun, our growth slow, unseen, our roots firm and vast. We grow best in strong currents, the waves high and breaking. We filter surroundings, shelter our own. We keep secrets, mazes of pockets and openings. We praise the dark. What brightness, the spark in the unknown. Thank you.
Hey guys, thanks for having me. I'm really honored to be a part of this. It's a pleasure to actually meet you. I was it's fun to find things that inspire you to write. And just for the record, this was so far out of my comfort zone. And so I really, really appreciate the opportunity. Your paintings are wonderful, and the nature of them, the abstract nature, was definitely was what made it possible to find inspiration in it. So I'm really grateful to be here. My poem was also from the coral reefs, and it's entitled Wonder. Do you question your existence, like so many do? Satiated is this mirage, finding sanctuary in the tropical shoal of the sea, like a promontory over Darwin's improbable paradox, the great barrier of disbelief. Aquatic wonderland, your polyps sing marine lullabies, inviting so many to take refuge within your mineral-rich haven, giving balance and receiving. But you sing an impossible song. Still they traverse barren wastelands where the sun does not shine, with lessons learned of how Mother bridges the gap between suffering and nirvana. They, the graceful and the vibrant, they, the disenfranchised, they who seek shelter in the enclaves of your culture, show their gratitude in colorful ways, despite you being slowly bleached, while so many question your existence. Thank you.
I just want to say thank you for letting me be a part of this. It was a wonderful experience. And when I'm part of the Vibration series that Anna did. And when I first looked at this one, I don't know if you guys all have the book. Sorry. The first thing I thought of is what I see when I close my eyes at night. And with my troupe, when I close my eyes at night, I usually don't go to sleep right away. I see all these things in my head and hear all these things in my mind and what I need to do. And anyway, I wrote this poem called Through My Eyes. And I gotta put my eyes on. Through my eyes, lids of slumbering night, I see sparks in the dark when I close them up tight. Lay to rest, go to sleep, then I silently pray, Lord, I gave it my best and thanks for this day. Those shining, glistening thoughts, do you see them? Like little imaginary effervescent glows. They dance in the black in the back of your mind. It's your very own Tonight Show strobing constant white rewinds. Through my eyes, visual scribes among stars, they've penned what I said, flashing rights from my head. Tiny dashes and dots in my head and my bed. All the dreams that I wrote treasure all the paths I remember. Life is so simple, we have all the directions. Don't sleepwalk on pillows, recollect your reflections. Brighten up your souls, forever awake. Back up the resurrection, snuff nightmares and wake. Through my eyes, passing right through this life. A never-ending door, revolving in strife. Over and over and over some more. Monotonous so long if you don't question your wrongs. Sights twinkle, keep it simple, sings your heart song. Still when black is black, and sadly the sparks stop when you've never stepped out or bothered to look back. If you don't and didn't have any more time, if you just went back and forth all around in a rhyme. When you repeated your tears and damned one mistakes, they say twice on purpose floats on surface of sakes. So I use them as light bulbs, my little elements of life, soul talks and lights from in between lashes. Through my eyes, brightest mind, sparks of night. Stay here with me always, and have a good night.
Happy New Year, Ancient City Poets. What a great start to the year, right? This is amazing. I went to see the exhibit on Friday. If you haven't had a chance, it's absolutely gorgeous. Very proud to be a part of. Do you have a copy? Thank you. Very proud to be a part of it, and I too, like Kimmy, I wrote to one of her paintings in the Vibration series, and to me, I related it to music, and so I took an old, really short poem of mine about playing in a band, and I meditated on her painting and attempted to write a refrain. I'm not sure if I was successful, but it was a very fun endeavor. Let me catch my breath. Okay, the space between. Let's play somewhere. There is nothing but nothingness and silence. Let's play somewhere. In a space reserved for two. Me in red and you in blue. Let's meld our colorful minds in a space reserved for two. We'll assimilate with dust between the next sound and after the last. Stars of our own mutation will assimilate with dust, ripening like plums on a tree, blooming violets under feet, keys to our song, ripening like plums on a tree, harmonious to the naked eye, the sky of all refraction, resounding ohms, harmonious to the naked eye. Here we find ourselves in the space between vibrations of rusty swings. Here we find ourselves swinging in amplified unity with boundless urges to defy gravity, swinging in amplified unity.
They sat in the garden, an old man and his granddaughter, each on either side of a chessboard beneath the shade of an oak tree which had once been a seed. Her pieces were dark, his pieces were light. His sun was setting, and hers, as it rose, cast long shadows of pawns and queens and rooks, of table legs and chairs, across the table, across the grass. Was it the light he saw casting her shadows, or the shadows themselves? A moment, a sound around which something other than the sound. Was it the sound he heard? Was it the shadows he saw cast by the light, or the light itself? As a child, he carried a comb in his sock, and his mirror was any puddle or lake, any such or such, his mother's kettle, the polished leather of his father's shoe. With her small hand, like planting a seed, she moved a pawn, a new shape, a new shadow cast. Thank you.
When the exhibit had its grand opening that was done at a god-awful hour of 8 a.m. or so. But, you know, being it's an art in public space, they wanted to do it before the monthly commissioner meeting. So it was a good opportunity for the poets and people involved to speak on behalf and just let the commissioners know how much we appreciate the Art in Public Spaces initiative here in St. Johns County. And Michael Henry Lee came and spoke at that presentation on behalf of the Ancient City Poets. And I'd like to bring him up to share his poem from the publication called Against the Grains.
Good afternoon. I'm just enthralled with all the people that came out here. I want to thank Anna first off. There's a lot of people to thank, but to be part of the collaboration is really a wonderful experience. I'm a haiku poet, so these are 5 really short poems that just speak to different images. Imagery in the mind, imagery in the soul, whatever. Morning after, the world's population -1. Longest day of the year. A snail shadow fills the afternoon. Ground fog. 3 crows steal a scene from Macbeth. Cloudy morning. An old friend's voice from out of the blue. bat, one shade darker than the night. Typically we read these twice, but there's so many people here I don't want to infringe on anybody's time. Thank you so much. Have a great day.
The challenge with Michael's poems, actually his haikus, as the poetry coordinator for this project, I chose the haikus and arranged them on the page so that they could speak to the theme of the paintings. And again, it was a fantastic collaboration to make Michael's 5 haikus tell a story.
You did a darn good job.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much.
That's for the writer.
Yeah. Please welcome Robert Waldner. He's going to share his poem, Refracting Sunset.
Good afternoon, everybody. Refracting sunset. The sunset through my cracked windshield alludes that I have tomorrow to do what I did not today. Above the fissure running halfway along, splitting horizontally my field of view, the pink and orange brilliance of cirrus cloud kisses from a sad and fleeting celestial fireball are perceived to be within my grasp, a reminder of the finality of my misdeeds. But if I look below the clear surface fault line, there lies the illusion of an oasis of time, as nature's masterpiece is slightly further in the distance. I have more time to say, I love you, I'm sorry, and forgive me. And when tomorrow's sunset arrives, I can find comfort in looking below the translucent rift, once again to stave off the inevitable. Perhaps if I never replace my windshield, the ever-fleeting light softened by the palette of the heavens will continue to bend into the days upcoming, and I will never more have to distress over pleasantries unsaid and permanent maledictions. Maybe then my wishful refractions will negate the necessity for the personal reflections that infinitely haunt me. Thank you.
Sometimes poems can be deceptively, I can't say the word today. Sometimes words can be deceptively simple. Sometimes words are harder to say than writing them. Spectacle. We lay amongst piles of dead leaves, sweet spice of autumn on our tongues, staring up through ever-moving boughs and dancing still live leaves that create a symphony of sun and shadow, through shafts and beams that gleam in your eyes like the dreams we now share. Time is of no matter, no meaning, reduced to a feeling, suspended by laughter and wonder, by memories and wishes. You teach me to tune out all the other sounds and just look up.
So thank you so much, Anna, for this collaboration. And again, the copies of this catalog will be available at the show, at the exhibit that's up till March 15th.